The old house stood exactly as I remembered, its grand Victorian architecture unchanged by time. The large antique exterior, with its intricate details, seemed to whisper stories of the past. A wraparound porch, shadowed and cool, wrapped around the house like a comforting embrace, offering a respite from the summer heat. The scent of honeysuckle, thick in the humid air, brought back memories of childhood summers spent in the garden, playing and laughing without a care in the world. My grandmother, frail but smiling, welcomed me back with open arms. Her warmth was a beacon, guiding me through the fog of nostalgia. It felt like coming home, yet something felt different, off. The familiar comfort was tinged with an inexplicable sense of foreboding. Grandma's once bright eyes seemed clouded, her smile strained. It was as if she was hiding a secret, one that weighed heavily on her heart. The house, usually filled with the aroma of her baking, smelled stale and dusty. The once vibrant rooms now felt neglected, as if they too were mourning a loss. The air felt heavy, as if holding its breath, waiting for something to break the silence. A sense of unease settled over me, a persistent whisper at the back of my mind, telling me that things were not as they seemed. Days turned into a week. I settled back into the familiar routine, helping Grandma with chores, listening to her stories. But the strange atmosphere persisted. It was most palpable whenever we neared the end of the hallway upstairs. The air grew colder there. The floorboards creaked mournfully. Grandma would always steer me away, her voice tight. "Don't go down there, dear. It's just old things, best left undisturbed." Her words, though meant to reassure, only fueled my curiosity. Sleep offered little respite. Every night, the silence of the old house would be broken by strange noises, faint, scratching sounds, like claws on wood, a soft humming, barely audible, yet chillingly distinct. One night, I woke to a muffled thump, followed by the distinct sound of a door closing. Someone, or something, was moving about in the forbidden part of the house. Fear, cold and clammy, tightened its grip. I had to know what secrets the old house held. I started paying more attention, looking for clues. During the day, when Grandma napped, I would creep upstairs, drawn to the end of the hallway, like a moth to a flame. One afternoon, I stood outside the door, heart pounding. I thought I saw a flicker of movement inside the room, a shadow shifting in the darkness. Then, silence. But the image was burned into my mind, fueling my determination to uncover the truth. The weight of the unknown became unbearable. My nights were haunted by nightmares, my days consumed by the mystery. Grandma, sensing my growing obsession, only grew more distant. Her eyes filled with a strange mixture of fear and sadness. One day, unable to bear the suspense any longer, I decided to confront Grandma. "What's in the room?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a deep, unspoken pain. "Some things," she whispered, "are best left buried." But curiosity, once ignited, is a powerful force. That night, armed with a flashlight and a heart pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation, I crept upstairs. The house was silent, except for the frantic beating of my own heart. I stood before the forbidden door, my hand hovering over the tarnished knob. Taking a deep breath, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air inside was stale and cold, thick with the scent of dust and decay. The room was dimly lit by a single window, its glass covered in grime. The faint light struggled to penetrate the thick layer of dirt, casting eerie shadows on the walls. It felt as though the room had been untouched for decades, left to gather dust and memories. Dust motes danced in the pale moonlight that filtered through, illuminating a scene frozen in time. Each particle seemed to tell a story of the past, a whisper of what once was. The air was thick with the scent of old paper and forgotten dreams. Furniture draped in white sheets, stacks of old books, faded photographs on the walls. The sheets, now yellowed with age, clung to the furniture like ghosts of the past. The books, their pages brittle and worn, held secrets of a bygone era. The room seemed to hold its breath, a place where time stood still. It was as if the very essence of the past had been captured and preserved within these four walls, waiting for someone to uncover its mysteries. But as my eyes adjusted to the gloom, I realized something was wrong. There was an unsettling feeling, a sense that I was not alone. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint creak of the floorboards beneath my feet. The rocking chair in the corner moved slightly, as if just vacated. It swayed gently, as though someone had been sitting there moments before. The room, once a silent witness to history, now felt alive with unseen presence. I cautiously approached a small table in the center of the room. On it lay a leather-bound journal and a silver locket, tarnished with age. I picked up the locket, its cold metal sending a shiver down my spine. Inside, I found a faded photograph of a young woman with hauntingly familiar eyes. She wore a sad smile, her gaze filled with a deep, unfathomable sorrow. It was like looking at a ghost, a phantom from a forgotten past. As I stood there, the pieces of the puzzle slowly began to fall into place. The room was filled with an eerie silence, a silence that spoke volumes. Every object seemed to hold a fragment of a story, a piece of a long-forgotten past. The whispers, the shadows, the locket, they were all pieces of a story, a family secret buried deep within the walls of the old house. Each whisper seemed to echo the pain and sorrow of generations past, each shadow a silent witness to the tragedies that had unfolded within these walls. Later that night, Grandma, her eyes filled with tears, finally told me about the woman in the photograph. Her voice trembled as she recounted the tale, a story she had kept hidden for so long. It was a story of love and loss, of dreams shattered and lives forever changed. My aunt, her sister, who had died young under tragic circumstances. She was a vibrant young woman, full of life and dreams. But her life was cut short, leaving a void that could never be filled. The photograph was a reminder of what could have been, a life full of promise that was cruelly taken away. The room, her sanctuary, had remained untouched, a shrine to a painful past. It was as if time had stood still in that room, preserving the memories and the sorrow. The dust-covered furniture, the faded photographs, all spoke of a time long gone, but never forgotten. The horror I had expected to find in that room was not a supernatural entity, but a profound human sorrow, a grief so deep it had seeped into the very fabric of the house. It was a sorrow that had been passed down through generations, a legacy of silence and pain. It was a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the secrets we keep buried within ourselves. The house, with its dark corners and hidden stories, was a testament to the enduring power of grief and the silence that often accompanies it. In the end, it was not the house that haunted me, but the stories it held.